why did you choose always to do something that no one is doing?
It's nothing else. It was a trade license and me only. These two things. You need to keep your integrity intact. Your reputation is really your capital.
You've done very strong decisions, and I honestly don't understand, but I need an explanation from you.
We follow Emirati investments. Over-calculating will lead you nowhere.
You started to talk about like entrepreneurs now.
And of course, the whole country was divided. Some people think, oh, how you are defending this guy? This is our national company. It's Salat. It's a Salat.
What's your take on lawyers penetrating the social media?
The whole game shifted from courts
to media.
We cannot be the previous firm. The market has changed. The market's view of us has changed. We are either going to be a new firm with completely different mentality, or we are going to fail.
Welcome back to a new episode with the Jurist. Today, we have an iconic lawyer, one of the biggest names in the legal field in United Arab Emirates. And very soon, I guess we will say this worldwide, because you're going really global very soon. And I think Dr. Habib Al Mulla is not someone that we can introduce. We just mentioned the name and you know exactly what we're talking about. Very good morning, and thank you very much for being here with us today.
Good morning, Ahmed. Thank you for having me in this podcast.
It's a pleasure, and and I thank you again, not just for being here with us, for accepting to do this podcast in English, because our audience, we have received your name as a request specifically. And I know very well that we have a lot of non-Arabic speakers who would like to hear from you. And we rely on AI for the translation. If someone wants to watch the podcast in Arabic and understand it, the AI can help you very much with the translation. But for the wider audience of the UAE and the whole Middle East, I know that a lot of people would like to have this podcast in English. So thank you very much for accommodating our request.
Thank you.
How's your morning?
Good. So
very
far.
Good. Yeah. Busy?
Always.
We offered you coffee and you said you don't like coffee. So what's your drink? What's your morning drink?
I'm a tea person.
A tea person.
I've always been a tea person. I remember once I was attending a Harvard alumni conference, and it was in Rome. And it was, now they call it coffee break. It was called tea break before. So I was on the line when I came. The guy asked me, I said, tea. And there was an Italian guy behind me. He said, tea? You are asking for tea and you're in Italy? That's why I realized that coffee is a big shock.
Yeah. But you have a specific kind of tea, or you roam between different kinds?
I roam between. No difference. Although I have to admit, recently, with a trend I'm seeing, especially from the young generation, trying coffee. Sometimes I do try coffee, but it's not my drink.
Okay. That's quite specific for a lawyer, not to have coffee. You mentioned Harvard and how you realized that the tea is your drink at Harvard. I have a question here, because specifically your generation, and for a very long time, the UK was the place where the education was very much promoted in the UAE, not just in the UAE, I guess all over the GCC region and many of the Arab countries. Why did you choose Harvard and not go to Oxford or any of the UK renowned names in the law?
I think I wanted to try both. So I did go to Cambridge for my PhD. But Harvard, I think we are of a generation that came in between. The previous generation, as you said, completely UK directed, focused. And then you had the new generation who are, of course, more toward USA.
Yeah.
We were in between. So at that time, US started to open. We're hearing about US. Harvard, of course, is an iconic name. And it was kind of a dream that, I do want to go to Harvard. I want to study there. So that was it.
How was your experience as expected?
I have to admit, after the first 3 months, I seriously was thinking of coming back, abandoning everything.
Okay.
You see, the problem is, first of all, our legal system of education is civil law, French law. That's common law, completely different. We're studying in Arabic, study there's in English. Although my English was good, but still. Plus, the method of education, and I think it's not a secret in our universities, it all depends on how much you can memorize.
Yeah.
And I have to, my memory was good. I could memorize the whole book. There, it doesn't work like this. It's a completely different study. So I was trying to use the same technique. So I found that, for example, I was memorizing like 30, 35 pages, even before the lecture starts. Then I find that the professor has passed like 80, 90 pages, or maybe 100. I was not able to catch. I was thinking, something is wrong. This is not working. Until my roommate, who did his bachelor studies in US, he told me, this is not going to work the way you are doing it. You need to study the way Americans study. You need to understand. You need to look in the bigger concept, look about different articles, even outside the textbook. So when I did that, and I think at that time, if I'm not mistaken, he also showed me that there were like handouts that the students prepare and buy and this. Then it started to work. I was able to catch up. But the first 3 months
was very difficult.
Very difficult. When I was at the university at Al Ain, one of the professors, he told me, don't go directly to the US. Go and take a master's degree in India or one of the Malaysia, one of the common law countries. Prepare yourselves for that. I said, why should I waste time? Let me go directly. But I think he was right.
Yeah.
Had I done this, I think it would have helped me a lot on Harvard.
But that probably made you much more ready for the work environment when you come back, because after university, where you study in this American style with the common law and so on, it made you more ready to engage in real time work. I want to bring you back to the UAE at that time, and I will go with your memory to the moment you came back, because you've been always a lawyer.
Yes.
Most of your time. Yeah, I guess.
All of my time.
All of your life.
All of my time. My whole career.
Remember now the moment you came back and you started working. How did law firms at that time in the UAE look like, and how did they run? And because they're quite different than how it is done now.
The majority of law firms at the time were either sole practitioners or partnerships between two. And I remember some of them, iconic names. For example, you had at that time Ja'far Alwan,
of course,
التاجر Barahim, Dalmouk and Mustafa Kamil, Rashid Harun was there also, Muhammad Kaf al-Ghazal. I mean, those, I would still consider them really a generation that will not be repeated. Despite, yes, the growth we had today. Today, of course, we have law firms, we have partnerships, proper law firms with many lawyers. But that generation, you sit with them for 5 or 10 minutes, because the system at the time, there was what we call the advocates room in the small court, which was the ex-municipality building. And we used to go to the hearings, come back, waiting for our next hearing, drinking tea, and we were discussing what happened in this case, that case, this principle. That was, I consider, an institution of education by itself.
That room.
Because the knowledge, you had all the masters, the gurus there. Everyone was coming from Dalmouk, from Fuad Barahim, Samir Ja'far, Ahmed Elnaggar, Mustafa. Everyone was coming, attending the hearings themselves at the time. And it was not like a role you had to go and wait. Basically, you take your file, go to the room, and the judge will just bring your file. You finish, you come back to the lawyer's room or advocate's room. So every day there were discussions. I was really learning. What I learned in that room was much more of my whole educational pathway. It was really something that I think today is lost.
I remember very well discussions that I had. My father is a lawyer as well, and he's from that generation. And he told me that you could learn from the clerks at the courts in Cairo so much, and the secretary of the court, you can learn so much from them that you cannot learn at the university.
Absolutely.
So the practical side and sitting in that room, because he spoke about it as well, that the lawyer's room in every court in the morning and after the hearings are done, or waiting for the judgments to be passed, some lawyers gather there. This room, you can exchange so much knowledge, and that what actually developed later on into big communities for lawyers and so on.
Yes.
Why is it so different now? Why is it not happening at the moment? And because that's a lot of...
Yes.
Well,
although I mean it was not properly structured, but it was in substance was very full of knowledge. Today, the problem is that the system of the court has changed. Today is not that you, as a lawyer, you go and the judge immediately will call your file. You need to go in accordance with the role. So you have to wait. Your role may be like 15. You have to wait there. You as a lawyer have no privilege. You are as any other claimant or defendant or respondent who is there. So lawyers don't go as much now to the lawyer's room. I've been once or twice there. It's almost empty. No one attends it. So I think what needs to be done is we need to find another way, more structured way to make this knowledge that one generation has properly passed to the other generation. Time has changed. I think that room has fulfilled its objective. Today, what we need is a different structured way for new generation of lawyers to benefit from the knowledge that the elderly or the elder lawyers have. And it's not that you will not find it in textbooks. You will not find it in lecture.
Of course. These are the tricks, the professional tricks and tips, and what to do or what not to do, and how to talk to the judge, or how to talk to how to comment on a verdict.
True.
And
yes,
these tricks, I don't think you can learn anywhere.
It's not a textbook knowledge.
So I guess the sense of community is very important in this profession. And I think the more and more we gather and we have this community that, of course, irreplaceable exchange of knowledge. I will ask you about something completely different now, because you've been contributing to the legal industry and your inputs have shaped the UAE. That's at least our opinion. And we know a lot of people have mentioned this. What piece of legislation that you think or you see that you have contributed in, or you have had an input that helped the legislation in the UAE to develop, and how did it impact the UAE in general? I can give you a hint. For example, I know you have contributed into the creation of the idea of the DIFC with your research and your team.
Yeah, DIFC is a project. But if you ask me on a specific piece of legislation, I think there are 3 areas that I personally believe I have contributed to the development of it and to the way it is today. And I'm proud. If there is a legacy, I think those 3 items would be my legacy. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s, I wrote an article. It was a short, I used to write weekly articles in Arabic newspaper. So I wrote a short article about the need to develop our commercial laws. And I mentioned 3 items. 1, foreign ownership of land. That was taboo at the time. No one would even dare discuss it. Long-term residency, 10 years. I mentioned 10 years. I wouldn't, of course, dare mentioning citizenship. that would. And I mentioned, I think, also something about criminalization of the checks, bounce checks. At that time, again, banks, finance companies, that was an absolute taboo. It has to be like this. And maybe I think I was a bit naive. I didn't realize at the time what was the sensitivity of those three topics. So I just wrote the article, the newspaper published it like any other article. And I had a flashback from one of the prominent educated people, مثقفين. And he wrote an article about those educated people who live in ivory towers. I remember he said, in ivory towers, don't realize the reality of what's happening here. He's asking for foreign ownership of land. He's asking for 10 years residence. He doesn't understand the structure of what's population is happening. And I recall, I did not keep silent. I responded
with an article,
with a longer article in more detail. And it became like the talk of the town. I remember any majlis you go at that time, any place would you go, people will ask what I said and what he said. And of course, the whole community was divided between two opinions. But I think it was that article that also made some people in the government look at this guy, oh, this guy is saying some interesting things.
Yeah, let's think about it.
I don't think I think the concept was there, but you needed someone to advocate it, to articulate the structure of it. Now, today we see foreign ownership of land is the driver of the economy today.
Yeah.
The golden visa is granted. I mean, we are talking now even one level up of citizenship. And the most difficult part, in my opinion, was the decriminalization of bounce check. That I used to write hundreds of articles, always talking about it. This is bad for the economy. People are running away. You're not giving them time to restructure their businesses. And finally, I think we are where we are today.
Wow, this is amazing and actually inspiring, because you're talking that you did this in the 90s, and we have seen the, I think, which year was 2020 to 2025. I guess this is the phase where a lot of reforms have happened in the legal industry. So it took 10 years or more.
Almost 20 years.
So almost 20 years.
Yes.
For a thought, this seed to be planted and then to grow. And this actually is a significant change, because I think it also took some stages, because they started with the foreign ownership a little bit early.
Yes.
And then the changes in the commercial companies law, and then the residency. And I think in few years we're going to see.
The third item was there also the foreign ownership of companies. I was asking, yes, that was the thing. I remember. It was not the decriminalization of checks. I was always advocating it. But the third item was the 100% ownership of companies.
Yes.
I remember that was the third. Absolutely. Still, I have that article.
You know, I work a lot in this sphere of the company structuring and advising on the corporate law in general. And I remember when it was first brought in to include the local companies in the 100% foreign ownership. A lot of the professionals in the region said that this is the death of the free zones. There's no free zone. The free zones are not good anymore. I remember I was opposing this, because honestly, DIFC is not DIFC because it's foreign ownership. ADGM and DMCC are not as popular and as amazing just because of the foreign ownership. There's so many other perks for these free zones. The same with the VAT and the introduction of taxes. Everybody was afraid. And I said, guys, the UAE is not just a tax haven, and look at everything. Look at the big image. You cannot look at a very small item in the society or in the community, or even a benefit that you get, and think this is the whole thing. But they all together shape what we have here as the UAE.
Absolutely.
After many years with the introduction of common law into the UAE, I think DIFC started in 2004. How do you see this? We're now more than 20 years in the experience. How do you see the DIFC and the DIFC courts and the introduction of the common law jurisdiction within a civil law jurisdiction have shaped how the UAE look like?
I think the presence of a common law system and common law courts is an incentive for foreign investors. I think many people believe that it's a system of law that they are used to, they know, so they feel more comfortable dealing with the DIFC courts and ADGM courts. There is nothing wrong with the civil law. I think both systems can work well. But at one point of time, I think we need to make a judgment call. Are we going to continue with the civil law, or do you want to go with the common law? Now, if it was up to me, I would say common law in the whole country.
For the whole country?
Whole country.
Okay.
And there was an idea that at one point of time, this idea was floated. And I recall I was coming from London. And it was at the airport. I received a call from one of government senior officials. He says, what do you think about common law? It's a very good idea. Can we do it? I said, yes. But it's not a switch that you will decide.
Yes.
No. You need to change not only the courts, you need to change the education system, the train, everything. It doesn't work like this. Can you prepare a paper? I said, okay. And I remember it was a night flight. I wrote a full kind of a road show on if we want to shift to common law system. But for some reason, that decision was not taken. Whether it's good to have both or shift completely, I think it's better to shift completely, because having two legal systems, yes, we have Canada, for example, having both legal systems, and that's a different case. I think it's leading now to a bit of confusion, conflicting judgments. What public policy does it apply? Is the public policy in the mainland the same public policy as the free DIFC and ADGM financial free zones? I think at one point of time, we need to make a judgment call and shift
completely
in one direction.
Wow.
In the 66, the whole country shifted from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. I think it's that decision that we need to take.
I think we did it as well with the weekend, having Friday as
yes.
that was a big one.
Yes.
As well. I will ask you, you told me before we start that I can feel free to ask you sensitive questions.
Please.
Okay. DIFC and ADGM. Did we actually need two jurisdictions in the country?
Well, we do have two exchanges. We do have 4 national airlines. So I think the city, yes, or the country can accommodate both. And I think it gives people a better choice. I mean, for example, today I'm receiving clients who would say, no, we would like to go to the ADGM because XYZ, or we want to go to DIFC because of XYZ. So you are providing opportunities.
I'll tell you my personal opinion. I started my career here in 2008, and I started in DIFC, and DIFC, when it was the only common law player in the market, of course, they were the best with the best jurisdiction, the best reputation, and the best free zone, and the biggest, and so on. But they were slow to progress, and they were very relaxed, I would say. With the introduction of ADGM, wow, it became such an amazing competition, very healthy.
Yes.
And I realized that the more ADGM is pushing, the more DIFC is pushing. And
Exactly.
now
Yes.
both are stellar quality jurisdictions and financial centers. And that's my opinion on it. So definitely a successful decision by the UAE. Going back to, again, the sensitive topics. The rebirth of Habib Al Mulla as a law firm. You know, there was an incident because of the freedom of speech that you had, which was very much appreciated by everybody here in the UAE. People loved your tweets. People loved your social media presence, but it backfired. I think you enjoyed it a lot, and it backfired and created some situation where you had to distance yourself from a multinational company with a big name, and you had to reinvent Habib Al Mulla law firm. Can you tell us a little bit about the story?
Yeah, I think at the time when we joined with an international firm, I think the idea was good. We had the local connections, they had the local, the international expertise and reach, and it proved well. I mean, we managed to serve our clients very well. And even when we bounced the idea by the regulator, they were a bit stretched. How this is going to work? Where are we going to register you? Which roster? And they were clear. We'll give you this license and we'll close it. We don't want to open this door once and over. And I know that other firms tried to obtain that license. You know, that was an exceptional case. But there were good reasons when we submitted our application. I think the direction also at the time changed. The firm became very centralized. We had more freedom with local firms, but still it was going well. I think what we had was a clash of cultures. When you're an international firm, you have to, yes, you have certain values, but at the same time, you have to realize that your presence in certain jurisdictions have certain restrictions, have certain considerations to other cultures, which I think they fail to understand. Trying to impose one kind of culture on everyone is not going to work. So, of course, yes, there was an incident, a local incident, which I tweeted about, which upsetted the whole organization. They wanted me to stop or have my tweets being censored, in fact. And I said, that's not going to work. So I said, okay, let us do separation. And I think they didn't mean it at the time. They thought
It was
that
a card to play to
yes,
make you. Okay.
Yes. But for me, it became a matter of principle. I said, fine. And despite the fact, I have to admit this for the first time, that I was at the time not really happy with the marriage that we had. But it was going on. But when the decision was taken to split, I had no plan B. There was no backup plan. It was spontaneous. I always say that it was like someone who was working and next day there is no work. Now, so when we decided to separate, there were one good position that, yes, the brand is there, the name is there, the people know us as a local brand, but at the same time, there was no infrastructure. We didn't have even PCs. We didn't have software programs. Zero. So we had like 30 days, basically 1 month, to resurrect everything from systems, from softwares, IT, HR, bank accounts. And at the end of the month, I had like, I think 19 fee earners came with me, plus the supporting staff. We were about 30. I had to make sure that these 30 people would have to be paid by the end of that month. Plus, you had clients who had ongoing matters. They don't care if what you are doing, you have a program, you don't have a program.
It's not their problem.
That's not their issue. They need proper responses. They need their cases. So for first few months, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Really a nightmare. But looking backwards today, I think that was probably the best thing that happened.
To the firm.
To the firm.
I would like to understand on the personal level, who was your support? Because it's impossible that you pass this level without emotional and, I don't know, friends and family. Who was the main people giving you the push or supporting you or telling you, you know what, take the decision, we are with you?
See, the amount of support I received from the local community, and when I talk about the local community, the regional ones,
okay,
is unbelievable. I think the tweets that I announced our separation had an impression of more than like 1 million, which is phenomenal in this region. So the local, everyone was supporting. Of course, family and friends, everyone was on board, but that was only moral support. There was nothing material. And I remember I had to even discuss with bank overdraft facilities because I was not sure whether I would be able to meet the obligations by the end of the month. We asked for like, I think 7 million overdraft facility at the time, and the banks were really helpful. We didn't use even 1 dirham.
That's quite a support.
Yes,
that's amazing.
The banks, yes,
yeah?
that was amazing. So it is fine. We lend you on your name. It's nothing else. It was a trade license and me only. But we didn't use even 1 dirham of that. But at the same time, I have to admit, people were bidding that this is not going to be successful. At this age, after 40 years of working, you will not have the energy. You will not be able to compete with an international firm. This is going to collapse. And people were waiting to see, okay, what are we going to get out of this? Some people, of course, some of the members left. Some people believed, they stayed. One of our partners who is still with us today, Mr. Mohammed Al-Khatib, he stayed. He said, I'm going to be with you. Although he was being very well paid by them. And I told him, listen, you will have a share of the profits, but I guarantee you that you will get whatever you were getting there. And today, by grace of God, I think he's getting 3 times much more than what he was getting.
I mean, these believers,
yes.
The people who support you at the beginning.
It was a challenge.
Yeah.
And when you put someone on a challenge, I think it brought out the best that we had. I remember we met with the team after the separation, the first meeting. I said, listen, we cannot be the previous firm. The market has changed. The market's view of us has changed. We are either going to be a new firm with completely different mentality, or we are going to fail. So part of the community and the moral support I received, which was good, I received a call from a senior member of the team of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. I remember I was at evening, I received a call from him. I know the guy, but he rarely calls. He said, I want to tell you one thing. I'm passing to you the blessings and the greetings of Sheikh Mohammed. He's fully supporting you. Don't worry, you are our son. And don't worry about anything. Proceed with the way you believe in. I mean, that was really, the biggest push that one can get and think of.
I think this is really inspiring because these words of support, it's not a promise that we will pay the salaries if you can't pay, or we will give you an introduction to some multinational or government companies to be your clients. They just restate that you're our son, or we're behind you, which means that we agree with your strength to take this firm and approach, and you did nothing wrong. Please go ahead. And this is amazing. And I think this kind of support is all what you need. I don't think the money you got from the bank or anything else was. What did you learn from this? I know hard times make people think differently for the rest of their life, and they learn something. What did you personally learn, and what do you think other law firms should learn from this experience? Because I think if you would ask me at that time and what's going to happen to this firm, I would say, well, 90% they're going to be a boutique firm and they're going to go small just for a few years to be able to get themselves together. And later on, maybe they will do something. But what you did is completely the opposite. You went big from the beginning. So how do you see other firms look at you or Habib Al Mulla as a law firm?
Last night I was sitting with son of a friend of mine who is studying law in UK. I tell me, my son wants to speak to you to get your guidance on what kind of law he should study and which career path he should take. So at the end of the meeting, he asked me one thing. He said, "Uncle, what made you to be that successful that you are today?" And I looked and I think two things you need to do. One is hard work. There's nothing that's going to come easy.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. No shortcuts. I recall when I was my early days, I was starting my day at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was writing the memos myself. I was going to the court, dealing with the court clerks myself. My days would finish at midnight. Even with BD and marketing, I remember at one point of time, I attended like 4 receptions in one evening. One. Two, I told them integrity. Your integrity is your capital. People may sometimes say, well, I think for this matter, for example, ex-lawyer could be better. He has different offices, different expertise, different team, this. But when it comes to integrity, they would come to me. They say, we trust that his advice is correct. He is not going to bully us around. He is going to tell us what we need to know, not what we would like to know. So I think these two things, you need to keep your integrity intact. That your reputation is really your capital.
Reflects back on how you decided is like, my opinion is my opinion. That's a cultural issue. I will not change my words, and I don't take censorship from anybody, and it makes sense. With the rebuilding of Habib Al Mulla as a firm, you've done very strong decisions, and I honestly don't understand, but I need an explanation from you. You've gone to open an office in India where we have tons of Indian lawyers here who can cover the Indian market. You have opened an office in a country that has sanctions from the rest of the world. You have opened some offices in other jurisdictions that other firms, especially local Emirati firms, are not going to. Why did you choose always to do something that no one is doing?
Okay. For every office that you open, there is a reason. The general objective is that we follow Emirati investments. Where is the direction of the Emirati investments? We follow them. Our goal is to serve the Emirati investors who are going abroad, not the local markets. For example, Istanbul, which was our first destination, we never thought of Istanbul. But then I saw His Highness Mohammed bin Zayed had a visit to Turkey. They signed this comprehensive economic agreement. I said, fine, that could be our first destination. So we went there. No one else thought at the time. Moscow was a different case. Everyone was pulling out because of the sanctions. I told my team, this is an opportunity. Let us go there. And I have to admit, not everyone was happy. They thought of sanctions. It's a difficult market. No one has done it. Why should we be? I said, you need to be the first if you are going to have an impact. So we went there. I have to admit, the rules and regulations were much better than any other jurisdictions so we could have easily our own license and everything. Now, what I found is, okay, on the ground was different. In fact, when the international brands pulled out, the local teams continued to exist. So they only changed the signboard. The signboard, nothing else.
Yeah.
It's the same team. So we didn't want to really play in the local market. And I told the lawyers whom I meet, for example, in Turkey and in Moscow, we are not here to compete with you. I told them when I was in Turkey, I told them, you have 100,000 registered lawyers in your bar. One more lawyer is not going to add anything. But when you have investors coming from UAE, they would like to deal with a firm that they can have the same language, same cultural mindset, everything. And if there is a load of work that we can't handle it, we will cooperate with you. So it's a win-win for everyone. We are not competing with you. And I think everyone was happy with this argument. Now, today, our investment in Moscow has been the most successful, by the way.
MashaAllah.
We have moved to a newer location now. We have just taken a bigger office. We are going to, I think, in February, relaunch the office. We have recruited more lawyers now. And it has been one of the most successful ventures that we did. Now, at the time, did I calculate all the risks? Maybe not. But sometimes I always believe over calculating will lead you nowhere. If you get it 70%, right, go ahead. Don't hesitate. Don't wait for the perfect situation, perfect opportunity. That is never going to happen.
You started to talk about like entrepreneurs now. You're, I know the DNA is law, but you have an entrepreneur inside you, because these risk taking and opening markets and developing teams and collaboration with other companies or law firms is actually a very entrepreneurial thing. Something is really changing right now. There is so many content creators and not just in UAE. I think there is a revolution of content that is happening at the moment. What's your take on lawyers penetrating the social media? There's so many legal content created by lawyers specialized in all fields, and everyone is taking a stage. Even honestly, some of them who are not so specialized, they're just starting to get some leads. But I would like to know your opinion on the presence of lawyers on social media.
I will take you 30 years back to a landmark case that I worked with, and I will link it to your question. I think it was early 90s. There was a kind of a shutdown of the internet in the whole country. And the newspapers wrote about it, and some even went to say conspiracy. Oh, it was an Israeli attack on our internet system. Mossad was behind it. And okay, but I mean, and it was a big talk at the time. I received a call from one of my clients. He said, I have a friend of mine. His son is in trouble. Can you please see him? At that time, I was still taking, some of the criminal cases. So I met, the father came with his son, and the son was talking to me. I think he was like 18, 17 years old. Oh, IT, I went to this on the net. I went to the Etisalat. It was called the Etisalat system. The system was broken. I came out, but then the whole internet fell down, and I'm afraid that they are going to accuse them. This is the same.
You're the reason?
You're the reason? Are you sure? So, okay. We can't deal with this case in a normal scenario. The whole country is against you. What we need to do is to fight them on a different area. So I called a couple of my people I know at the media. Them, listen, do you know the subject? Yeah, of course. I have the accused. Really? You have them? I said, yes. Do you want to have an audience with them? Yes. I said, okay. So I called them. And I remember BBC came, CNN, everyone came. And I presented him. I said, listen, this is the guy. He didn't do anything wrong. Salat system was wrong, malfunctioning. He only went and came out. They are trying to use him as a scapegoat. Yes. And of course, next day, everyone wrote about the story. And of course, the whole country was divided. Some people think, oh, how you are defending this guy? This is our national company. Etisalat was Etisalat. And I remember they made a press conference against it, and I made a press conference, and it became like a press conference game. The whole game shifted from courts
to media.
To the extent, one of the reporters was telling me he called the head of the media section at Etisalat to ask to get her views. And she said, don't talk to him about this. This is causing a headache for us. We don't want to deal with this issue. And the guy was fined 5,000 dirhams. And he used, afterwards, he was contacted by banks to work as a consultant to try to hack their system. No, coming back to your question, media is very important for lawyers, for their BD, for their image, the proper approach. You need to present yourself in a professional way. Now, you're talking about the influencers. I'm 100% with them. I think it's a new mode, new technique, new generation have to go into it. But there are certain boundaries, there are certain rules that they need to respect. But I am 100% in support of this.
Yeah, I think it's very enriching, and a lot of the content that's coming out at the moment is very valuable. Even a very small remark. I received a call yesterday from one of my friends. I make very short videos when I'm in the car. So sometimes I make reminders to everybody, because some of my clients, actually a lot of my clients, are following my social media. So I make a reminder about tax filing. I make a reminder to my friends who are making advertising and so on to apply for the advertiser permit. And from time to time, I make this. So I receive a call from my friend, and he said, "You know what? Thank you so much for the video of today. I just realized I'm a manager in one non-profit association, and they did not file for the corporate tax until now. And thank you. It was the deadline today, and they did it yesterday. So just one day before that. So it's really a very important thing. And I think if it's done right, and if it's done with a purpose, people can benefit a lot from
Absolutely.
it. So
the community can benefit. The lawyer himself also can benefit, because he's also building his character, his image. So I think it's very important for people to go through it. Even if they make mistakes in the beginning, that's fine. They will learn.
You're now leading one of the most important law firms in the UAE, and soon to be recognized in the whole Middle East and in different areas. You have initiatives in education, in sponsorship of young mentoring people, giving awards, and you have the academy, Habib Al Mulla Academy. What was the most challenging leadership moment in building these things together? Because you have so much to do in a very short time, and I think you have also a national duty, because from time to time you've been called for opinions from government institutes. And what's most challenging in this?
The most challenging part is to build a team. And I recall this was not, an issue that I only faced. I was once attending the Majlis of Sheikh Muhammad, and he was mentioning, I think at the time there was a delegation coming from Malaysia or somewhere, and they asked him exactly this question. He said, the biggest challenge I am facing is to build up your team. You need first to build a team who can embody your vision, understand what you are doing, and then it will be easy. And this is the same situation that I feel. I come up with certain ideas. I want this to be finished in this time. It takes a lot of effort to make the team really understand the vision and be on par with your vision and try really to achieve it. The lesson I learned today, I said, listen, we are going, for example, to open an office in Baghdad. This is the deadline. I want the office to be open this day. Now we need to work backwards.
Okay.
So the deadline is always there, and I always remind them, we have this much time left. We have this much time left. And that is really work. It challenges everyone to bring out their best.
So building a team and putting a target.
Yes.
These are the most challenging points and most important. I resonate with this a lot. I am also doing a lot of activities and so on, and I find delivering the idea is easy. Coming up with a very amazing project is fun and it's good, but without a proper team who understand the idea and who is willing to act as a team and to take it forward is one of the most challenging. What's your proudest achievement? Not as a lawyer now, as Habib Al Mulla, not as Dr. Habib Al Mulla. Personal achievement that you find it that brings a lot of pride
I think
for you.
my personal achievement that I am really proud of is the my writings. You know, I used to write like almost every week. Sometimes I was a bit slow, sometimes I was more active. And when I wanted to compile all this, I realized that there were more than 600 articles. Some of them, when I read it today, I was thinking, how did I think those days of these things? I mean, I don't think it's only credit of myself. It's combination of everything. Of course, at the end of it's blessings of God that can make you that success. But I think those writings are really the one thing that I am proud of.
Do you still write regularly now?
Okay, I write, but it has changed.
Okay.
I used to write articles in newspapers. Of course, newspapers have faded today. Today I write more some kind of a legal posts, basically on X, Twitter before.
And sometimes on LinkedIn because I'm reading that.
Yes, I do the both. In fact, LinkedIn is a different audience.
Yes.
X is a different audience. So I take the same one, I put it, whatever is purely legal, not social or political or whatever, I post it on LinkedIn. And I enjoy it because it requires some research, takes time.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine asked that, are you going to compile this? I said, I didn't have that thought, but it could be a good idea to combine them. And I just finished writing a new book on the corporate tax.
Okay.
Yeah. Commentary on the corporate tax in the UAE. It's in Arabic. It's finished. Hopefully it will come out very soon.
Inshallah.
Although I have to admit one thing. Sorry.
Tell me.
People don't think of my legacy in the legal field. This Saturday, I was visiting another prominent lawyer, Mr. Osama Tamimi.
Of course.
He invited me to his farm and he was showing me his farm and this and everything. And his son came, Abdullah. So he was telling his son, do you know this son? He said, no. I said, this is Habib Al Mulla, the lawyer. So, I said, oh, yes, I know him. I follow his Instagram posts about restaurants.
Yes.
So I said, my legacy is
the
now
food advocate.
The food advocate.
I think you're doing an amazing job there, honestly. What I find it very amusing is that you're not monetizing this at all. This is all for free. This is all actual, genuine, personal opinion about food and restaurants. How many restaurants did you review so far?
On the website, which is the foodadvocate.com, we have 1,300 restaurants.
1,300
restaurants in 26 countries, 90 cities around the globe.
Wow.
And that's only from 2000. I think we went back to 2018, not before. That was difficult to go earlier than that.
Good. We're not doing advertising, but I have to ask you one very good question. When you win a very good deal, where do you go for dinner?
Depending on the deal itself.
Okay, depending on the deal.
Yeah.
If it's
the clients.
If it's an M&A big deal,
then of course you need to go to a fine dining restaurant.
Fine dining restaurant. Do you have one that is your closest to your heart? Let's say 2025 this year.
I'm trying one tomorrow.
Okay,
and I think it's going to be an outstanding one.
Yeah.
FZN and Royal Atlantis. And I'm saying this because I've been to the original one in Stockholm.
Okay.
And it was outstanding.
Okay. So let's see. I will call you tomorrow.
Okay.
Tell me what's your opinion. Can I ask you about politics?
Sure.
it's not just the region, honestly, that's on the verge of instability. This not just the region. I think worldwide, there's a lot of concerns in wars erupting in many places, and some wars are actually ongoing, and some have been affecting the UAE and some not. What of these occasions does concern you the most?
See, frankly, I mean, the whole situation is concerning. You don't know in which direction things are going, which leads to uncertainty. Uncertainty is your biggest enemy. You don't know whether you should invest, not invest, expand, not expand, how the market is going to happen. But despite all this, when you look what's happening in our region, and I'm talk only about our region, you see that UAE is, despite everything going around it, are going full force in investments, expanding, venturing into new areas, AI, jurisdictions, signing treaties with different countries. See what's happening, for example, in Saudi Arabia with His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman's vision. See what's, for example, happening even in Muscat. I mean, Kuwait, Morocco. I mean, the industrial development that's happening there. Egypt with their developments in different aspects. Yes, people, I think the message is clear. There is a fire, but we are not going to stop until you extinguish the fire, and then we think. We are going to go forward. I think this is the message that the leaders in the region are trying to send, which is comforting. And I think we need to follow that same path. You can't wait until things become really calm and cool, because historically, the region has every other once in a while we're having a turmoil.
Something is happening
Something is
anyway.
happening. But still,
you will never be ready for development. You will never be 100% ready for doing a good thing. I think you just have to go ahead and plan the future for it. I will ask you some questions, but I need the answers in one word.
One word, okay.
A few. That will just
That's difficult for a lawyer.
You will try. One trait, one personal thing that a lawyer would have, and you say, I will not work with this guy.
Ethics.
And the opposite, one trait that will make someone very interesting to work with.
Again, ethics.
What does the leadership mean to you?
Courage.
How do you see the future in the UAE?
Bright.
How did you like this conversation?
Interesting.
Thank you very much. I actually enjoyed a lot, and I think it's really a phenomenal discussion, and I don't think it's going to be the last. I just have in my mind now a couple of other times that I will invite you. One, we'll speak in Arabic. 5, we'll speak into 6 other topics. And it's really a pleasure to have you here today. It's been a very interesting discussion.
Thank you. Thanks.
What is the question that I did not ask that you had in mind? Or did you have in mind?
I was expecting that you are going to ask me about my food passion and how did it develop.
I am following you for a while, so I guess I have a very good idea. But tell me, tell me, where do you see also the food blog? I know it's a hobby thing that you will that you are doing, but why did you start it actually?
I have a habit. If I do something, I need to do it perfectly, or I don't do it. I don't touch it. I don't do half-cooked job. So I always liked food. And I recall even many, many years ago, when my children were very young, I used to buy like delicacy chocolates, and I keep them in the closet. And every night I would call them and give them one. But what really made me take it seriously, I was having lunch once with a friend of mine, Professor Abdul Khaliq Abdullah from university, and he told me, why don't you write, I mean, you're going to all these restaurants, why don't you write a book? Then what I'm going to write, and going to restaurants, what kind of book I should write? He said, no, try. I said, okay. I thought it will be like maybe 15, 20 pages. What can you write more than this? But I took it seriously. I ordered some books, references. I started to read. I realized that there is nothing in the Arabic library. Yes, there are cooking books, but nothing which talks about the culture of food, restaurants, the history of it. And so I started writing. I remember I got a call from the publisher saying, this is more than 200 pages. You need to stop. You can't go like this. So I had to even shrink it. Then I started taking it more seriously. Okay, I published the book. Now let me use my Instagram account to post about food. And what I found is that there are a lot of food bloggers. But in my opinion, they lack credibility because they are paid. So they are doing it for a purpose. I needed to show that no, you can't do this job without really being biased or prejudiced. So I started taking it, and slowly I started to learn how to really post, what time, what you do. It's taking a lot of time because I'm doing it all personally. I go to a restaurant, I put my remarks, I redraft it, then I post it. It takes a lot of time, but I enjoy it.
I want to ask you something. What do you think of the Michelin? I mean, why a tire company like Michelin are involved in reviewing food?
Oh, it's easy. There was a logic behind it. The reason is they wanted people to drive to restaurants in order to use the tires. So they would exchange the tires more frequently and they would sell more tires. That was the whole concept of it.
Wow.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that was the real reason why they went into this area. And I remember I was always pushing our tourism department, get the Michelin guide, get the Michelin guide, get the Michelin guide. To the extent once they called me and they said, come, the Michelin team is here. Meet with them and see for yourself that we are doing it. Now, today, if you ask me, do I trust Michelin guide? No. Unfortunately, I think they became very commercial. I may use them as a reference, probably in Europe and the US, but not in any other jurisdiction.
Not any other place.
No, they became very commercial.
Is there a chance that we see in the future a local guide here that can go international? I mean, using your 1,300.
You need a full team. You need a full team
for that. But, ideas, as you said, 20 years ago, were just an article and now they are reality. Maybe we'll have an international guide led by Dr. Habib Al Mulla.
Probably.
Inshallah. Dr. Habib, it's really an interesting discussion. And please, I want you to promise us that you will come back to the Jurist to sit down and talk about other topics.
Inshallah.
It was
a pleasure discussing it with you.
Now, this is your dose from the Jurist. Thank you very much. Interesting discussion. We cannot have enough of Dr. Habib, but for another week, and see you.